What if the city of Troy really stood behind those legendary walls? What if thousands of warriors really sailed across the Aegean Sea to destroy it? And what if, hidden beneath centuries of mythology, there is a real story waiting to be uncovered? For more than 2,000 years, the Trojan War was treated as a story of gods, heroes, monsters, and impossible adventures. But then, archaeologists found Troy, and suddenly, the line between myth and history became terrifyingly thin. Our story begins with a woman, Helen of Sparta. According to the ancient Greek legend, Helen was the most beautiful woman in the world. But when she disappeared with Paris, the Prince of Troy, her husband Menelaus, was determined to bring her back. And so, according to the legend, the Greeks gathered one of the greatest armies the ancient world had ever seen. Thousands of warriors, hundreds of ships, and one destination, Troy. The Greeks arrived at the city and began a siege that would supposedly last 10 years. But here is where the mystery begins. Was this really a war fought over one woman? Or was Helen simply the beautiful face placed upon a much larger conflict? Troy occupied a strategically important location near the Dardanelles, connecting the Aegean world with Anatolia and the routes toward the Black Sea. A powerful city in such a location would have been enormously valuable. So perhaps the real reason for the war had nothing to do with love at all. Perhaps it was about power, trade, and control. But if Troy was real, where was it? For centuries, the answer was lost. Then in the 19th century, an ambitious German businessman named Heinrich Schliemann became obsessed with finding the legendary city. In 1870, he began excavations at Hisarlik in modern-day Turkey. And beneath the earth, something extraordinary appeared. Walls, gates, streets, the remains of an ancient city that had existed for thousands of years. Troy was not a fantasy. It had been real. But that created an even greater mystery. Was this the Troy of Homer? Archaeologists discovered that the site had not been one single city. It contained layer upon layer of settlements, built and destroyed over thousands of years. Some of the later Bronze Age layers, particularly Troy 6 and 7, have attracted attention because their dates overlap with the period traditionally associated with the Trojan War, and some evidence suggests that the city experienced destruction. But was that destruction caused by a Greek army, an earthquake, internal conflict, or something else entirely? We simply do not know. And perhaps that is what makes Troy so fascinating, because Homer never gave us a straightforward history book. He gave us a world where gods interfered in human affairs, where Achilles was almost unstoppable, where Hector defended his doomed city, and where the famous Trojan Horse finally brought the war to its shocking end. But there is something important to remember. The Iliad was not written down during the Bronze Age. The epic poem was composed centuries after the period in which the Trojan War was supposedly fought, preserving stories that had traveled through generations of oral tradition. And the Odyssey tells us what happened next. After Troy finally fell, the Greek hero Odysseus began his journey home. But home was not waiting for him. Instead, he wandered across a dangerous world filled with monsters, storms, seductive voices, strange islands, and angry gods. He faced the Cyclops. He heard the song of the sirens. He survived the wrath of the sea god Poseidon. And while Odysseus struggled to return to Ithaca, his wife Penelope waited, year after year. Suitor after suitor arrived, believing Odysseus was dead, but Penelope refused to give up. And then, after 20 years away from home, Odysseus finally returned. But was any of this real? Did a man named Odysseus truly sail across the ancient Mediterranean? Did the Trojan horse actually exist? Was there really a 10-year war between the Greeks and Troy? Or did generations of storytellers take fragments of real battles, ancient disasters, forgotten cities, and historical memories, and transform them into one of the greatest legends ever told? The truth may never be known. What we do know is that Troy itself was real. Its ruins still stand in modern Turkey, preserving evidence of thousands of years of human settlement, and its location was important enough to connect different civilizations across Anatolia, the Aegean, and the wider Mediterranean world. Perhaps Homer remembered a real war. Perhaps several wars became one. Or perhaps the Trojan War was never a single event at all. Maybe the truth lies somewhere between history and myth, because sometimes legends are not completely invented. Sometimes they are memories, memories of people who lived, cities that fell, and battles that were slowly transformed by time. And if that is true, then somewhere beneath the legend of Helen, Achilles, and the Trojan horse, there may still be a forgotten story waiting to be discovered. So, was the Trojan War real? Maybe the better question is this: how much of the truth has been hidden inside the myth?